brothers and sisters. I'd just like to share a message in which the Lord has put on my heart to share. A couple of days ago, I just was thinking, I was going along and I was thinking that, it's been so long that I haven't shared anything for God, or He hasn't really showed me anything. And just in my thoughts, I was just thinking like, oh, it'd be so nice to share something for Him because it's been so long. And, I know all across, with most people across the board, dreams and that sort of stuff has decreased because God is doing new things, and new seasons, I guess. So I just wanted to share a little bit on that, but mainly it's because, like I was saying, I was going along and I was thinking, He hasn't really shared anything with me lately, so it'd be so nice to receive something and share it, with share it with people. And then the following night, He gave me a dream, really vivid, and most of it I don't remember. But what I do remember, which is really clear at the time when I had the dream, it was so clear, it was so real. So when I woke up from it, it seemed so real. But when I fell back asleep, I forgot most of it. But the part which I do remember, He allowed me to remember, or He wants me to share, I believe, was very important, most important part, and it's to do with war, coming war. So pretty much I was sitting down. I just remember being in this place. It was like the Lord appeared. I never remember His face, He don't allow me to remember His face, but I know it was Him based on what He was wearing, like His outfit. And He had something in His hands. It was like He sat down at a chair. I was in front. He sat down in a chair and He held up this board, right? And He was showing me with His fingers, so clear. He's showing me with His fingers. He was pointing to a timeline. So He was showing me a timeline, and I'm not a person to set dates. So I'm not setting any dates or anything. But what I believe that He was showing me was we are closer in things being fulfilled than we even realize, right? So He was trying to show me that, because obviously when God shows you something or timing, well, for one, He doesn't show you the exact dates or timing or anything like that, but it's all spiritual. It's all spiritual. So basically, He sat down. He had this board in His hands. I could see Him pointing to a dot. So there was a square board, like a chalkboard, and He held it up in front of me, and He showed me with His finger a dot. It was a single red dot on one side, and on the dot it said, "You are here." On one side, on the left side, it said, "You are here. This is where we are currently and things," right? It's like I got the download of information that this is where we are in the timing of things. And then next to it, there was another red dot, just right close. It was right in line, and it said, I don't remember word for word what it said, but I knew that He was showing me what was coming. What He showed me next was what He was showing me on the timeline of how close we are, right? Because it said, "You are here," and then I think on that side it said, "You how close we are, right, to this event." And then He showed me the event, right? So it was like a dot here, and then right next to it, really close, was another red dot. And I remember taking my finger and counting with it 3. It felt like, when I looked at it, it felt like it was 3 days, right? Obviously, like I said, it's not 3 literal days. When God shows you something, a timing in the spirit, the timing in the spirit could be a lot different than physical timing, right? Or sorry, when he shows you a physical time, or when he shows you some sort of timing or reference or timeline, it's all spiritual, right? So we have no clue when that could be. That could be 3 days, 3 months, years, 6 months. We don't know, right? But it felt near. From the impression I got, it was a lot closer than we think we are. So I think that's what he was trying to show me, right? And how close we are to this. And then the scene changed, and I just saw it was an attack taking place. And like I said, most of the dream, like the beginning parts of this, I don't remember. It's like he don't allow me to remember it, and maybe he'll reveal it back to me. But I remember I was dreaming a lot, and it was really vivid. But what I saw, what I do remember seeing, was these missiles. There was tons of missiles being released, right? And it was all heading. I knew that they were heading to destroy cities in the U.S. And it wasn't just one city; it was numerous cities. And I saw all of the buildings that the missiles were going towards. And I also, I don't even want to say it, but because I'm not, it's like, it's part of it. I don't completely remember, but I think it came from Russia, right? From what he showed me in it. I remember seeing Russia, having Russia in my spirit, right? And I knew for a fact that they were going towards the US, and it was going to destroy cities in the US. And I saw all of the buildings, and I saw all of the missiles. There was so many missiles, right? And actually last year in June, he showed me something similar to this, right? So maybe it's a repeat of that. I'm not sure, but that's what he showed me. And then I just know that he was showing me a timeline of it being really close spiritually. I don't know how close that means, but I know it's a message that he wants me to share, because like I said, just in my thoughts, I was thinking that it's been so long since I shared a message for God, and it would be so nice to share something, again. So he gave this to me. But also partly because just making this video and sharing this message is over the past months. I know most people have been so quiet with sharing videos and receiving dreams. Like, it has slowed down, mainly because the seasons have changed. God always start a new season. So where you would have been 2 years ago or a year ago, sorry, the things that you would be doing, you're no longer doing, right? Because God's shifting you and constantly changing things. But one thing he has been showing me from the beginning of this year, I've shared it, was there would be a transfer of kingdom. I even shared videos on the wilderness, the cave-in process, these sort of things. They all lead up to the transfer of the kingdom, right? And I shared messages on this on my Facebook, as well as shared it on Facebook, as well as my videos and like that I've shared in the past, that there would be a transfer in the kingdom, right, on earth. So just as David went 2 years, like I kept speaking of this so much before, it kind of sounds like a broken record, but basically right now, the season that we're in is a fulfillment of all the things that I shared before coming to pass. It's actually beginning. It's actually beginning in my life, as well as other people who, sorry, just really tired, but other people who I know who have been sharing the same messages, are also speaking of this transfer where they're being promoted um, in their jobs or in their spiritual walk, or there's a promotion taking place, and it's also happening with me. So just as David went through years of fleeing from Saul before being promoted to king, and Joseph went through years of slavery and imprisonment before being promoted to governor, so are we too. So are we too, who have been threshed, now being promoted in this transfer of kingdom. I think it was like in January or December where I spoke so much of this, where there would be, a transfer of the kingdom in the earth. And, over the past, I would say, well, from June, so a month and a half, this is actually beginning to manifest. And like I said, not just in my life and in the life of, my work and that sort of thing, but in the life of other people who are sharing the same dreams, same messages, who have the same channels, same YouTube. They're all speaking of some form of promotion, and God lifting up those who have been going through his process, his caving process, his threshing floor, who have really suffered, really, gone through, as the scripture says, Satan's mill, to refine us, to test us, really. And that's what he's been showing me. All of the things that you've been going through, it's not coincidence, or it's not in vain, but it's really there to really test your heart and to humble us. Because, as the scripture said, Moses was the most humble man in earth in the book of Exodus at the time. He was the most meek man in the earth, and no one has been able to rule like him and command like him since since him, other than Jesus, right? And who he also was meek and humble and lowly in heart, right? So with promotion in the kingdom, there must be a form of humility and meekness, right? So all of these things were there to test you, break you, humble you, that sort of thing. So now, after the threshing, God promotes those who were last and now becoming first, right? And this is what he's just been showing me a lot, and I think this is what he wants me to share. So Psalms 105 verse 17 to 22 says, speaking of Joseph, he says, he sent a man before them, Joseph, who was sold as a slave. They hurt his feet with fetters. He was laid in irons until the time that his word came to pass. The word of the Lord tested him. The king sent and released him. The ruler of the people let him go free. He made him lord of his house and ruler of all his possessions, to bind his princes at his pleasure and teach his elders wisdom. So there it speaks of Joseph, who, went through years of slavery, caving process, wilderness, and to the point where it says he was laid in irons. His heart became laid in irons. The affliction and the testing that he went through. God designs and allows various and shapes various circumstances for us, and allows the devil to really test us, to break us, humble us. But most of all, it says to test us. The word of the Lord tested him, to test our hearts, so that we would be, it could take us from that, to really build us, to take us from that place where we were, to humble us and move us up. and also to teach, right? And also in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 20 to 26, it says, "But now indeed there are many members, yet one body. And I cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. No, much rather those members of the body which seem to be weaker are necessary, and those members of the body which we think to be less honorable, on these we bestow greater honor. And our unpresentable parts have greater modesty, but our presentable parts have no need. But God composed the body, having given greater honor to that part which lacks it, that there should be no schism in the body." I know it's the word like division in the body. "But that the members should have the same care for one another. And if one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. Or if one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it." So these are two scriptures that he gave me, and he just been showing me so much that it's a change. It's a change in season, and I think he just wants to reveal that, in case you are being promoted in various areas of your life. It could be work, it could be a new job, it could be a position, it could be in the church, different things. You're going to slowly notice a transfer from the rulership of those who rule things in the world back over to the kingdom of God, rulership through the kingdom of God, And there's so many psalms written on this, so many psalms, so many places we see it in the Bible where those who were in rulership, usually at God's appointed time, there's a transfer in whatever he wants to do. Like sorry, I'm trying to explain this in a in a simple way, but usually whoever he uses to glorify him, there'll be a transfer from their process into the kingdom, right? And the transfer usually takes place from those who have mismanaged or not ruled properly or whatever. He sets those who belong to him, who have been afflicted, who have been processed, who have been, going through the different testing, into that place of power and promotion and that sort of thing. So so that's what's taking place. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, but lastly, I just wanted to kind of encourage a little bit. Just something that he's been showing me, that Christ accepted all things, and just to reveal his love, encourage through his love, because this really encouraged me over the past few days. He's really been showing me this, that Christ came and he accepted everything that we wouldn't accept, everything that we we all tend to reject, we all tend to hide from, different fears, different embarrassments, shame, injustice, reproach from people, judgment, hate, these sort of things. These are the tools that the devil uses against us. And because of fear, which is given, even the Lord was showing me this, that Satan has been given these tools temporarily, right, to bring out the Christ in us, right? So he'll use fear, he'll use shame, he'll use hate, he'll use embarrassment, reproach, all of these different things that are evil, that are not of God. He'll use it against us, And what we tend to do is we reject it, we hide from it, we become, afraid of it. Like, I hate shame. For me, I'm a person that, I hate shame. And I have a fear of that, which I'm sure everyone has a fear of one of these things that I mentioned. But Christ never did that. He embraced it fully with open arms because of his love for us. He embraced injustice. When they spat at him, he didn't curse back. He loved them more. When they hated him and they tried to embarrass him when he was stripped, stripped of his clothes and crucified naked on a cross, we would hide our face from these things. We would be ashamed to these things, you know what I mean? And he did it with open arms, with love, with a smile, So he was just showing me that in order to overcome, in order to be completely free, so that the devil won't have any control over us or can't manipulate us, right, with these things, with fears and shame, is to completely embrace it, completely accept it, and to love through it. And I just found that so amazing, that this is the love that he has for us. So encouraging, that he never once judged anyone who rejected him, who spat on him. The book of Isaiah speaks so much of how he was hated, how, they looked at him. And even Psalms, there was the Psalms I was reading earlier. And, it just speaks of what Christ said, of how people looked at him. He was despised and rejected, but yet he embraced it and loved through it instead of retaliating and that sort of thing, So that was just really encouraging. But, it was so important for me to understand that the way through these things is by embracing it, not hiding our face from it, and through that you break all pride and you break all forms of control that the devil can have over us, to manipulating us and making us be afraid or ashamed of these negative tools, right? So I don't know, I just want to encourage someone with that, because I thought it was so encouraging to see the love, that he loves us so much, that he embraced everything that we reject, that we can't take, that not one of us would accept because of judgment of the world. How would people look at us if someone spit on you and hit you in front of a crowd? Not many people can look at a person and love through that. But this is what he did for us, so it's pretty encouraging. So hope that encourages someone. But like I said, I just wanted to fulfill my end of I asked God to show me something, and he showed me something real powerful, and like I said, I told him I would share it. So I'm just here to share that and just reveal or release or mention, speak about what I know he's not just doing in my life right now in this season, but also I know this amongst other people. So if you in any way are being promoted in your life in some area, this is why, it's a transfer of kingdomship, So this is, I think, what God is doing right now. And like he showed me war is coming, So take it all to the Lord in prayer, and I hope it encourages you. So thank you.